Hi, and welcome to Conversations with Mothers Raising Boys. Come on in. Come on in. So I received an email from someone, and I think that this is going to be a good discussion. This girl wrote me and she said, my son heard the word sex in the bus. Surprise, surprise. And has been asking questions, and I have no idea how to deal with this. Please help. Uh-oh. You have?
Yes, that actually happened to me. My son is in 4th grade, and he heard those things on the bus. And I actually heard from the neighbor that the discussion was happening. So I approached him and just said that I had heard that he heard that on the bus. And I said, you know, what did you hear? And he gave the answer that any boy would say, I don't know. And so I said, you know, if you ever have any questions, make sure you come and ask me, because I will answer questions or tell you any information that you want. And he just kind of shrugged his shoulders again. But I did go there a little bit, and I just said to him that, you know, kids are going to talk about things that have to do with body parts, and that our family's beliefs are that we don't do those things until we're married. And so you'll hear about it, and kids will talk about doing different things, about showing their body parts and touching and things like that, but we don't do that. And so if you have any questions, make sure you come and talk to me. I won't be mad about it, but that was kind of how I left it.
Because I have had a couple of kids that have gone through the 5th grade, like education, the health education talk, and they've come back with questions after that. And I think where I agree with you is that the openness with it, so that they know that they can come to you with any questions, and if they don't understand something. And I just kind of, when they were young, like 5th grade, generalized a lot of it. Didn't really get into a lot of like the heavier talk because it wasn't really appropriate, and I didn't think that they would really understand enough of it anyways.
Right.
So, you know, like just general talk, you know, you hold somebody's hand for affection, or you give them a kiss or something, but really general. And then I have a teenager who's asking more questions, and I'm actually resorting to books to get some kind of like, well, where do I go from here?
Right.
So, and I found some books that start talking about dating and flirting and what's appropriate and what's not appropriate, and I'm going to have him read them. Like, I'm reading them first, and I'm just giving him the sections that I think are appropriate for him to read, just to kind of give him an idea. You know, people are talking about sex, but at 13, this isn't where you're going. This is what you should be thinking about. And maybe dating a girl, you know, you can hold hands or something, just age appropriate. Because just because people, and this is what it said in the book too, just because people are talking about it doesn't mean they're doing it. So don't feel like, you know, they're a step ahead of you, because most likely they're not. They're just talking.
There are some good websites out there as well that talk about, you know, that you can actually suggest for your son to look at this website, and it kind of goes into detail about, you know, sex and what's appropriate.
Right.
And really sort of what's actually happening with your body. And especially when boys start to hit puberty and they're experiencing body odor, or, you know, hair growing in different places than they were aware of before. So it's answering questions in a sort of non-confrontational way that they can read about it and then discuss it with you.
Right? I'm interested to know, since your husband is from another country as well, does he have different ideas about this than you? Because mine does, for sure.
We haven't talked about it really, actually, no.
Peter's from Germany, so he's European, let's just say, and they're extremely open about your body and sexuality, way more than, I mean, we're very regressed here as far as they're concerned. But I can't help it, I grew up here, so I have some of those.
We're more conservative.
Yeah, we're definitely more conservative, and what he thinks we should tell them maybe isn't what I think they're ready for.
The oldest has asked me about sex because he heard it on the bus, and I said to him, he thought it was, I said, what do you think sex is? That's how I answered his question. And he said, well, I think it's kissing. I said, well, it can be kissing, and you know, for now, why don't you just, I think I kind of just edited at that was pretty much kissing.
But they see that, like, my oldest son has seen some things on TV, just even if it's inadvertently flipping through channels, or he's been like, Mom, what is that, you know, what are they doing? Or, you know, have you ever had your son, like, want to give you a real sexy kiss? Like, they kind of like, oh, whoa, this isn't quite, you know, but they see that. I mean, whether it's on TV or on a billboard somewhere or something, what they're exposed to.
My son's only 3, but I know from my experience with my mom and dad that you need to, I'm gonna really try and not act surprised, like you're not gonna win, you're not gonna surprise me with this. I'm not actually horrified with the word, and actually my 3-year-old just said a bad word the other day, and I just moved on. I don't do the whole watch the language, because I think the more entertainment you more entertained you seem by it, the more they're gonna get excited about it. So I think just a calm conversation, and I am actually Canadian, not far away from the US, but it is still a little bit different too, because I think we're a little bit more open with that stuff too, because I'm really not bothered with what, he's only 3, but what he sees, or I'm really not as blown away with it as a lot of people are, and I don't know that I'm going to stress that much over it. I'll just answer the best I can, and he'll figure it out.
Yeah.
With my help.
We had an experience not long ago where my son said, "Oh, look at that girl, she's hot." And meanwhile, he's almost 9. So, and I said, "Do you think she's hot? What do you mean by hot?" As opposed to being, as opposed to being cold. And he looked at me and I said, "That's really not the best way to describe a girl. I don't know."
Was it a girl his age, or is it?
I don't remember. I think it was a girl. I don't remember, actually. I just remember I was surprised by what he had said. And I said, "Where did you hear that?" He said, "SpongeBob."
Yeah,
So-
so they do hear it.
They hear it
Yeah.
everywhere.
I just don't think a lot of, that they know the context though. Right, like you're saying, like, because I had the same thing when I asked one of my children was sex, and I said, "It's kissing." And they're like, "Yeah, it is." And I think that's where their context right now, that's what it is.
Right.
And I don't think you necessarily have to go beyond
I
what
agree.
it is, because sometimes innocence is, they grow up so fast anyway, so to keep them innocent for a little longer.
I
is
agree.
really,
It's important. It's good.
yeah.
Well, I have the totally opposite problem. My 13-year-old just got his first girlfriend. Well, thank goodness she's long distance, because it's, they text each other, and one time when they saw each other this summer, they were holding hands, and that's fine, And anything else, I tried to get him to come out and say, "Well, what have you heard about things? What do you..." He won't open up on anything. He'll say, "Oh, nothing."
Well, that's what I think too. You need to not wait till they're ready, because I think we talked about it when I didn't want to talk about it, and maybe they thought I heard. I didn't listen. I wasn't listening, and it upset me more and more. And I'm not going to tell you then when you think I'm going to volunteer information. I never would.
Right.
I agree, but who would you rather have them hear this from? Their kids or on the bus, or from you?
You know what? I don't know, but I'm not going to force, I hope not to force it on them, and I wish it wasn't so forced on me, because I didn't want to hear it from them at that time. Anything you don't want to hear from your parents, you're likely not to listen, and who knows what you're going to do to just say, "You taught me this and I didn't want to hear it, so what am I going to do?"
So I guess the issue becomes, have an awareness of at what stage your child is at when they're asking you questions, whether it's about sex or death or any kind of issue that is a touchy issue. Have a really good understanding to gauge what your response will be. Because if your child comes to you and you think that they know more than they really do, and you may go and say more than they actually needed to know.
Yeah.
So when they come to you with questions that are sensitive, the best solution may be to respond by asking questions so you can gauge what their true understanding is. Would you agree?
Yes.